Hello, I just wanted to spend a few minutes today talking about Eupatorium perforatum, otherwise known as boneset. It is a plant that is native to the eastern part of the United States, and we have it here on our property in northeast Iowa. It is in the Asteraceae family, the sunflower family, and it is going to prefer to have wet feet. So it likes to grow near springs or near creeks or in kind of a wetland. So first we'll start by going over some of the identifying characteristics. And forgive my really well-worn field guide. This is my trusty companion. So to start out, one of the most notable things about this plant is that it is incredibly fuzzy. It has white hairs that are fairly long all over the stem and the leaves that are visible to the naked eye. And then the other really key identifying feature is the leaves. And I believe that's why it got its botanical name perforatum, because it looks like the stem perforates the leaves. So the leaves are lance shaped. They are serrate crenate, so they are kind of like little rounded tooths, and they lack a petiole, and it looks like they actually clasp around the stem. They also come out in right angles from each other, the sets of leaves. So one set will be north-west or north-south, and then the other one would be east-west. So that's a really good way to tell this plant. And then you move on to the inflorescence, which is in a corum. And one thing, when you're just getting started wildcrafting, some people mistake an umbel for a corum. And as we know, there are poisonous plants that have umbels, so it's important to be able to identify this. But you can see over here, well, that's not a good picture, but a corum, each of the individual stems originate, they're different lengths, whereas in an umbel, they all originate from the same place to make an umbrella. There is poisonous, well, there's another plant that grows native around here called white snake root, which has been said to cause milk sickness when cattle graze on it and the meat or the milk is eaten. That one, I'm going to butcher this, but Agaritina altissima. That's the newer botanical name. It was once in the Eupatorium genus. It was formerly known as Eupatorium rugosum. So that's one to look out for, but it's pretty easy to tell them apart once you know them, because the white snake roots doesn't have the clasping leaves, so it's a huge identifier. So this is one that I've tracked on our property for many years, and I would see one or two individuals pop up, like I said, by a creek, and then they'd get flooded, or they would pop up in the woods and just not quite have the right conditions to flourish. And then we had some beavers move in, and they dammed up a little stream, and I went hiking towards the end of the summer in a part of our property that I hadn't been to all year, and there were just thousands of boneset plants. And this was actually, funnily enough, if that's a word, in the late summer of 2019. And I joked with the friend that I was hiking with that we better get ready for a pandemic, which is not a funny joke in retrospect, but at the time I knew that it had been used in the Spanish flu, and I thought, oh wow, this plant must be telling us something, so anyway, I just wanted to share that little story. This is another book that I've used. Paul Bergner has a nice entry on boneset here, and he talks about how it was one of the favorite herbs used by the eclectics, and how they referred to it as a virtual panacea, and they used it for everything from gout, and obviously with fevers, and that's how it got its name, for break bone fever, which, flus or tuberculosis, so they were able to use it for that, to encourage sweating. They also used it for gout, arthritis, epilepsy, and it was originally passed on by the Native Americans to the Pilgrims, and at one time its use was very popular in this country, but it seems to have fallen out of favor. And I suppose, I mean, for myself, I've never actually harvested this plant. I just stock it. But most of the fevers in my family are with children, which this would not be an appropriate plant to use with a child, just because of the toxicity. The tremetrol, I don't think I said that correctly, but you only want to use this plant dried, because that is actually the constituent that would cause the milk sickness. And and then it also has the pyrrolizidine alkaloids, which can cause liver damage, and very suddenly. So you wouldn't want to use this plant in a child, and you would only want to use it for a very short time if you need it. I think it's a good one to have in your arsenal, but there are a lot of other diaphoretics that can serve the purpose. But anyway, that is what I have to say, and I hope my little tutorial on identifying this plant will help you find it in your region if it grows there, because I always get so excited when I find plants. Anyway, so thank you very much.